I really like to thrift, and Goodwill is one of my favorite thrift stores, but there are some things that you just can't find at Goodwill. So for several years, I started buying things on eBay, and I found a couple other sources. One is Mercari, Poshmark. There's Etsy, but it's mostly centering around like homemade items. So this is one of my finds. What I'm going to share though is the dishonesty of people. It's kind of sad. Of all of the products I've ever purchased online through the 3 companies I mentioned, I've only had a couple incidents where it was kind of questionable. One I bought was a perfume. It was a vintage Mary Kay perfume, and it was the kind that had the crimp top. So if somebody really wanted to, they could take the top off and put their own product in. So this was something that was back from the early 90s. So I had found it, and I bought it. But when I got it, that metal seal was leaking, and the product didn't smell the same that it did. And I realized, over time things can change. But I just had this feeling, right? But when I let the seller know, she did the right thing. She honored it was leaking. I didn't want a bottle that was leaking, so she helped compensate for that. And there was another incident, but anything that's happened, the seller has done the right thing and made the situation right. And I think I've only had 3 until this one. And I won't tell you what site I bought this off of, because it's not their problem. It's the problem of the dishonest seller. So I had been looking for a vintage strawberry shortcake lunchbox like I had in the 80s. And this is the original packing. This is shipping label. No, they packed it okay. So I did a lot of looking on these 3 different sites: eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. Those are the 3 main ones that I use. And there were a lot of lunchboxes like this that were advertised, but they all had blemishes. And I realized, you're probably not going to find something brand new, but that's what I was looking for. And this was advertised as like new, no rust, no dents, no scratches. Now, shame on me for not asking for better pictures. This is how this was advertised. And they only had 4 pictures, and they weren't really close-up pictures. But I took them for their word, right? We do want to give people an opportunity to do what's right. So I did, even though I had doubts. And I also try to check their profile. Occasionally, I will try to find them on Facebook, and I will check them out just to see, not that I'm judging, but if they don't appear to be honest people, you can tell how people respond to other people in posting and the things they post. So I didn't check this person out. I just took them for their word on this site. Look forward to this for, 2 weeks. So in the picture, I'm not going to show you any details, but I could tell from the original listing, when they had this, one of the pictures was a picture of the inside, and I could see some spots, but they said no rust, so I thought maybe it was just dirt and they didn't clean it off. They showed a picture like this, and when you look at it, I could tell in their pictures, this side appeared to be a little yellow, which wasn't a huge deal. Because it wasn't that noticeable. I was more concerned about like the other rust, scratches, and dents. So I went ahead and bought it, obviously, because here it is. And I was very choosy because I wasn't looking for a used lunchbox. I realized I was going to get a used lunchbox, but I didn't want it to look used. I wanted it to look new. And if I didn't find one, I was going to keep looking. I wasn't ready to settle for a used looking lunchbox. So I got this yesterday, and there is rust. There's rust all along all the edges. All the edges out. Every single edge has rust. The latch is rusty. This is rusty. The spots that I thought were dirt on the inside, rust. The paint has been rubbed off and there's rust. I wasn't mad. I was just really disappointed and really kind of hurt because you trust the sellers. You're trusting people to do the right thing. And had I known, I wouldn't have chosen this listing. So I reached out to them, sent them a message, and told them that I was disappointed and I didn't understand why they would advertise it as such. I didn't hear back from them. So I reached out to the company who allows listings on their site, right? So one of these that I've mentioned. And part of the return process, you know, they want proof of the label, proof of the packing. They want all the close-up pictures. So I took all the pictures that I could that the site would allow me to take. And I sent back and, you know, told them how disappointing it was. I didn't understand why they didn't just be honest. So they went through the process of, they okayed my return. And when they were going to verify with the seller their return address, they were going to send me a shipping label. And then, of course, I had like 3 days to return it after I get the label. In the meantime, I wake up this morning to a nice little message back from the seller accusing me of fraud, basically, and I'm a liar, and that this is not the same lunchbox that they shipped. They told me that the product they sent me had no rust, no scratches, no dents, and it was in perfect condition. And do you know that that's called gaslighting? I have lived with that. I have lived with family, and I'm not okay with that. What can I do? Well, now, since the seller is denying, you know, the host company has already clarified, yes, it's grounds for return. Yes, I have evidence here that it's not what I ordered. But now that the seller is claiming that I have made a switcheroo with another lunchbox. But the cool thing is, right? I have evidence. I have my discolored front. I told them I have markings that I did not recognize in the picture as like rust. that turns out to be rust in identical places. I mean, there's no denying that this is the same product. And they tried gaslighting me and saying that I switched products. So now I do not trust them. I feel that if I even return it with the return label, they're not going to do the right thing, and I won't get my refund, and they'll be on their way with their money. So, you know, this is the worst incident I've had, and I think I've only had 4 incidents, and I can't even tell you how many products I've purchased from the 3 companies. Actually, I have purchased from Etsy too, so eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, and Etsy. And this is the worst one. You know, you can't control other people. We're only responsible for how we react. And sure, you know, I was looking for a like new product, didn't get it. So in my mind, I'm like, out $55. Could have been worse. There was one of the sites that had one listed for $129, said like new, and then shipping cost. I can't imagine if I would have spent $145, $50, $150 to get the other one that was claiming like new, and it came like this. I'd be so mad. But what do? You know, this was the price, an average price of other lunch boxes that had damage, that weren't in like new condition. So I wasn't ready to settle for a used looking lunchbox, but it looks like I'm going to have to, because I don't think I'm going to trust them to send this back and for them to do the right thing. So just beware. Thrifting is fun. Online thrifting is fun, but you really should do your homework. So this morning after I received their message, I decided to look a little bit further. I did find her on Facebook, and she is definitely not someone that I would have probably bought from. So shame on me, right? So maybe in the future I will do a little bit more research. You know, you get burnt once, you think you can trust somebody, and it's not like the end of the world. I do have the lunchbox. I just have to try to clean it up now. Nothing I can do about the rest. But happy thrifting for those of you who love to thrift.